Solo is Star Wars story. So Solo, a Star Wars story, is the origin story of Han Solo that no one really asked for, and then when Lord and Miller, the original directors, made a version of this movie no one asked for, that Kathleen Kennedy didn't like, she canned them, then brought in Ron Howard, and now he's directed Solo, a Star Wars story. And essentially the plot is we get to see Han Solo get everything we know about Han Solo. But among that plot, Han Solo joins a crew in which they have to get this item, and had to deliver it to Paul Bettany's super crime boss. Now, I'll say this about Alden Ehrenreich, who plays Han Solo. Dude was better than I thought he was gonna be. That's probably because I really thought he was gonna suck, because in all the trailers, he just didn't impress me. But there were a couple moments where I was like, that does seem like young Han Solo. Good on him, credit where credit's due. But he doesn't stand out. It's not like I'm like, Alden Ehrenreich, only dude who could have done it. I feel like there are a few people who could have played Han Solo and would have been just as fine. The Twitter chatter has told you Donald Glover is the best part of the movie. That's probably true. He probably does do the best job. Don't know what that means. I mean, you compare him to everyone else and you're like, he's just much better than a lot of you. Full disclosure, I am a huge Donald Glover fan. Childish Gambino has solidified himself as the working artist of our time. I love the dude. Maybe my love for Donald Glover is making it like, no, he was so good as Lando. I don't think that's it, because I genuinely think he was great as Lando. He had charm, he had charisma. Granted, before we meet him, we are told he is charming and has charisma. It's a funny cinema trick they did there. But I thought he was good. Also, I do like the Han meeting Chewie thing. I guess if there is one meeting, that's the meeting you don't want to screw up in this movie. I actually like them meeting, and it does harken back to the Legends lore. But really, the pacing in this movie sucks, and the movie just comes across as boring. The movie is boring. You might hear some flag terms like, it's a fun summer adventure. It's not. It can't be fun because the pacing sucks. Doesn't matter what season it's meant for. The first act of this movie is a mix of, all right, it's taking a while to get going. And then it's like, all right, time jump. But it doesn't fix the pacing. It just makes the pacing shoddier. Like, all right, that's bad pacing and time jump. Cool. And I don't know what they kept from the Lord and Miller cut and the Ron Howard cut. I mean, Ron Howard is credited as the director of this movie. So I just assume he refilmed the movie from the ground up. But there are a couple of moments where it's like, all right, it's supposed to be sentimental moment. All right, I'm over it. Let's go do something else. Okay. Did you give a shit? So the conflict in tone and conflict in pacing could be the result of two different directing styles clashing, or it could be the result of the director of In the Heart of the Sea bringing his pacing to the game. That's actually kind of harsh. This movie does have better pacing than the fucking whale movie that Ron Howard directed. Still not good. Not good for a heist movie. I mean, there's a scene where they're on this planet, they're doing the job, and then just an action sequence breaks out. And it came across like that conveyor belt scene in Attack of the Clones. Like the story is George Lucas was like, this needs something else there, and he just wrote in a conveyor belt scene. Came across like shit from the video game where you fight Joanko the lava beast. It came across like that. I feel like they were filming the movie and they were like, they're doing the job. Nothing's really happening. Something has to happen here. All right, we'll just do this and get an action sequence going. It doesn't organically weave. It doesn't flow with the movie. Just detonators are flying, laser blasts are going, and it happens because it's Star Wars. And that's what happens in a Star Wars. Granted, resistance when pulling off a heist is going to happen. It's expected. Just so happens that what they ran into wasn't resistance. It was just an action sequence. An action sequence that wasn't really the result of them doing their heist. Could it have happened more organically with the film? Yeah. One of the things the movie's really lacking is a real antagonist. This movie has no real bad guy. It is a space heist film. We'll take Ocean's 11, for example. There's no Andy Garcia character. Even when Andy Garcia wasn't on screen, you knew they just had to avoid this guy at all costs. This guy was bad news. Don't let him see it. This movie doesn't have that character. Paul Bettany's in a scene and a half, and he's worlds away. There is this asshole who comes around and causes problems a couple times. That's not the main threat. The main threat in this movie is time. You have to get the merchandise and deliver it in a certain amount of time. The merchandise timing itself, that's the real threat. That's the most boring villain ever. Like, you take Rogue One, Krennic was that guy. You take the original Star Wars movies, Darth Vader is that guy. Force Awakens, Kylo Ren is that guy. This is like if The Force Awakens happened, Kylo Ren wasn't in the movie at all, and just Hux sat around and was in a scene and a half, and Captain Phasma showed up a couple times and did a couple things. Those were your villains. I did like Paul Bettany when he was on screen. Like, if Paul Bettany had more screen time, I probably would have enjoyed this movie more. Paul Bettany seems like the one who's having fun in this movie. Well, him and Donald Glover. Oh, holy shit, I forgot Woody Harrelson was even in the movie until just now. Like, what world do we live in where Woody Harrelson's character doesn't even stand out? Really what carries this movie are the references. This movie is constructed for you to see something happen with Han Solo that ties back to Han Solo that we know from the original trilogy. So you can be like the Captain America meme from the Avengers and be like, I understood that reference. That's it. That's really what carries this movie. Like Deadpool 2, a movie I enjoyed, does rely on references also. But what the references really are jokes. Deadpool 2 relies on jokes. So happens a lot of those jokes in that movie are fourth wall breaking references. The references in Han Solo aren't jokes. they don't make you laugh. They make you go, That's not enough to carry a movie. It's not enough to make a good movie. I mean, the movie has a couple good moments of banter. It has one chase sequence in particular. It's probably the only chase sequence I remember in the movie. It's actually a pretty good one. But the movie by the end is just really predictable. This movie springboards off of the flaws of Star Wars movies that have come before it, not the strengths. This is essentially just pick a generic sci-fi movie, slap a Star Wars label on it. That's this movie. But if new Star Wars movies are meant for a new generation, I feel like a new generation deserves better than this. I'm not gonna remember this movie. In fact, I'm not gonna remember this movie in T-minus 1 day. Yep, already forgot. Same score I gave Attack of the Clones. Take it as you will. Alright, so Solo, a Star Wars story. Are you looking forward to it? What are you hoping to see? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more. You all look great today. Have I told you that? Comment section's gonna be fun.